during a supervised visit. The two have been missing since yesterday morning. Now, police say there is a felony warrant for Jeanette McCann Lopez's arrest. She's 5'7" with colored red hair and about 5 months pregnant. For the full story, kgun9.com. Los Angeles police say a middle school shooting that injured 2 students today was accidental. Another student told police the girl who had the gun was sobbing and saying she didn't mean to do it. The girl told police the gun was in her backpack and went off when she dropped the bag. A boy who was shot through the temple is in intensive care tonight. Another student is recovering after being shot through the wrist.
A Wisconsin teen who stabbed a friend and left her in the woods to die in 2014 will now spend 40 years under mental health supervision. Morgan Geyser was found not guilty by reason of insanity after telling officials she and a friend stabbed a third girl as an offering to the fictional character Slender Man. She was diagnosed after the stabbing with schizophrenia and oppositional defiance disorder. Geyser's co-defendant Anissa Weir was sentenced to 25 years supervision back in December. Don Shooter was a powerful man in the Arizona House before his fellow representatives voted to throw him out today. House members voted to strip him of his membership after an investigation accused him of a history of abuse and misconduct. House Speaker J.D. Mesnard originally planned to ask the House to just officially reprimand Shooter, but reports say Shooter told his accuser and fellow representative Michelle Ugenti-Rita it was a nice day for a lynching. Shooter may be the first lawmaker to be forcibly ousted from his seat over sexual misconduct allegations. It could just be hours until the White House signs off on releasing a controversial memo. The Justice Department and the FBI have both warned against releasing this memo. Democrats say the memo is misleading and inaccurate, while some Republicans say it shows abuse of FBI power in the tapping of phones of former Trump campaign aide Carter Page. Arizona Senator Jeff Flake is one of a few Republicans who are asking the president to keep this memo classified.
Pretty nice winter we're having, isn't it?
Yeah, it's February already, and it's still winter.
Well, we are still calling this winter, even though it feels more like spring. So the question is, will spring feel more like summer? The outlook is in, and that's coming up.
Aaron, thank you. Tucson Fire using new soap and spray. Why the department say it's so important to their health.
Plus, how to find out if you're being exposed to lead and how to protect yourself. You're watching KGUN 9 on your side. Tucson firefighters have a new way to protect themselves on the job.
Recently, crews started using special high-pressure, low-volume sprayers and soap to wash themselves off as soon as they leave a fire. TFD says research shows firefighters have a high risk of developing cancer.
The badge of honor that we used to have, the dirtier your turnouts could be, the grimier, the blacker, it was really a bad thing. And all that stuff, a lot of it's cancer causing that we don't want to be coming into contact with, and in fact we were.
This is part of a bigger effort to reduce the crew's exposure to carcinogens. They're currently testing different strategies. The department is part of a three-year study with FEMA to take a closer look at cancer rates among firefighters to prevent and help the early diagnosis.
Parents, listen up. Free dental care for uninsured kids is coming up next weekend. The Give Kids a Smile event is Saturday, February 10th. Kids can get cleanings, fillings, extractions, and root canals. You can sign your kids up now. Go to kgun9.com to find out how.
Well, January was pretty warm.
Yeah.
What is February looking like, Aaron?
Well, that's a good question. We'll take a look at what spring might end up at if our January pattern were to continue. That's in your full forecast.
Thank you. Plus, lead-based paint has been banned for decades, but some homes could still have dangerous amounts of the element. How to find out if your home is at risk using only your zip code. You're watching KGUN 9 on your side.
Lead exposure. It can poison your infant and affect intelligence for life.
But as 9 on your side's Craig Smith reports, you can test your risk with a check of your zip code and take steps to keep your child safe.
Charlotte Garrett loves her great-grandchild Amaya and loves that she often comes to visit, but then she learned there was a chance her house could poison the little girl with dust from lead paint.
I was concerned. I mean, you know, I would not want my grandchild to get lead poisoning, that's for sure.
A City of Tucson program could tell there was a risk because the crank-out windows her house had were old enough to be made with lead paint.
What happens is every time a homeowner opens the window and closes the window, it's impacting that surface. After it impacts it long enough, it starts creating lead dust. And the lead dust will frequently fall on the windowsill, and young children, you know, they hold themselves up on windowsills, and or it can get on the floor. Young children are the ones on the floor, they're crawling, they're putting their hands in their mouth.
These are new lead-free windows the City of Tucson installed under a special program. More on that in a moment. Your zip code can help warn you if you are at risk. The Arizona Health Department website lists high-risk areas by zip code. It's based on the age of the buildings because lead paint was banned in homes after 1978. Have a look at this map. The state health department says 1- and 2-year-olds in all the dark areas should have a blood test for lead. In lighter areas, the state still recommends at least a questionnaire to measure the risk.
It's a preventable cause of permanent damage to a brain. And a small child with a developing brain is particularly susceptible to the damaging effects of lead.
As a pediatrician at El Rio Health Center, Dr. Andrew Arthur treats a lot of children from neighborhoods with older homes at higher risk for lead. He believes all children should be tested for lead wherever they live because the effect of lead can be so easy to miss.
At low levels of poisoning, the effects are completely silent. So you can see on a population basis, if you have a modest increase in lead for the population of children, that you will see a very small but measurable decrease in intellectual performance.
Lead exposure can come from peeling paint, old furniture or toys, foreign-made pottery, imported spices and candy, and certain folk remedies. The City of Tucson's Lead Hazard Control Program inspects homes at high risk and removes a lead threat if they find it. When the City of Tucson program finds lead paint on a wall, they want to be so sure that lead does not get loose in the environment that they go beyond simply painting it over with non-leaded paint. They actually take a fresh sheet of drywall and seal that lead in. The city replaced Charlotte Garrett's old lead-tainted windows because she met low-income limits and because Amaya is a regular visitor.
Well, she had to have a blood test. That was one of the provisions of doing this. She had to be tested, and I don't know what I'd have done if it would have come back positive for lead poisoning. I'd have just been devastated.
Craig Smith, KGUN 9 on your side.
Now, KGUN 9 on your side. First warning weather brought to you by Casino del Sol, the soul of Tucson.
Here we are, the 1st of February, and January 2018 goes down in record books as the warmest ever recorded for Tucson. The average temperature, meaning the daytime highs and those overnight lows factored in together for this January, ended up at 59.1 degrees. That is 6.5 degrees warmer than the average temperature for an average January. The average high temperature for this January, 73.6. That is 8.1 degrees warmer than we typically would have as an average high temperature for the month of January. So we weren't just a little bit above average, we were way above average. Now you'll recall that last night we were telling you the forecast for February, that last month of winter does call for above average temperatures for Arizona. The same for our spring outlook. March, April, May. National Weather Service is forecasting well above average temperatures for just about all of of Arizona. So a lot of folks are asking me, well, if winter feels like spring, does that mean spring will feel like summer? Well, just for prognostication purposes, let's say the pattern we had in January were to continue for the next 4 months, meaning that average high temperature is 8 degrees warmer than what is normal for us. I have rounded off the average high temperatures here for the next 4 months and then tacked 8 degrees onto those, and just for kicks, thought we'd take a look at what the temperature might be. The average high for February, if the January pattern continues, this year will be 77 degrees. 82 for the average high in March, which normally it's 74. The average high for April, 90. It's normally at 82. The average high for May, you guessed it, would push to 100, which normally would be 92 for the month of May. Now that's only if this pattern were to continue. Pure conjecture, but of course time will tell. We also know that January was not just the hottest on record for Tucson, it was also the hottest on record, or warmest on record, for Ajo as well as Tombstone. Tucson National Weather Service just came out with these rankings today, and I got to tell you, they're pretty impressive. This is a long list here. Also, the second warmest January on record for Nogales, San Manuel, Sassabee, and Wilcox. Warm all the way around, not just for Tucson. And now that we're in February, our high temperature kind of following suit, 15 degrees above normal today for Tucson, 82, 80 in Sells, 80 Phoenix, 76 Wilcox, 76 Sierra Vista. We were actually closer to the record than we were the norm today, but as warm as that 82 is, not enough for the record. That is 86 back in 2003. But with our high of 82 today, that does push this combo of the last day of January and the first day of February with highs at 80 degrees or warmer to just the third time since 1895 that this has happened. The other years, 1911 and 2003. 80 degrees and sunny for the next 7 days. Guy, Stella?
5-2, 5-2.
That's the Super Bowl.